Hey, this is Terry Ray with Top Flight Aviation. My friends call me T-Rex. I've been doing this for 45 years. Today I'm going to show you how to change oil on an airplane. This particular airplane is a 1980 Cessna 152. It has a four-cylinder Lycoming engine. Some of the earlier models had Continental engines, but this particular one's a Lycoming engine. So the first thing you need to do before you change your oil is you need to run your airplane up and get the oil hot so that it'll drain better. This is really, really important in the wintertime. But when it gets hot, it drains better and all the contaminants can mix in there so you get the contaminants out of the engine, which is one thing that's important, especially if you're going to do an oil sample. We're not on this particular airplane, but if you were going to do an oil sample, you definitely want it hot and then you're going to drain a little bit of oil and then take the sample for that. We're not doing that. They didn't request an oil sample, so we're just going to show you the process of the oil change and what else we look for just to make sure the airplane will stay safe till the next oil change, because it's not just really about changing the oil. There's other things we look at. I'll explain that as I get into more depth on the oil change. All right, now we have the airplane in the hangar, as you can see, and we've already taken the cowling off. Cowling is what surrounds the engine, okay? So we've taken the cowling off. Now we're going to drain the hot oil. And then while the oil is draining, we're going to inspect the engine for other things. Now there's several different size drains. We have a drain tube here that matches the drain tube, the oil drain here. So let me show you the oil drain. Right here behind this hose, or you can barely see, there's the oil drain. You see what the diameter of that is? That's the diameter of this hose. So I'm just going to slide this on like so. And I'm going to push up and turn, and you can see the oil's coming out. So I've pushed the oil up. I've pushed it up and turned it. It locks in place. It's called a quick drain. Some airplanes don't have this. Sometimes you have to remove a drain plug and then put it back in. So we've got the oil draining. As I'm looking around, while you're looking, you can see, is there any oil leaks around the rocker gaskets? That's pretty common. Exhaust leaks around the exhaust, or intake leaks around the intake pipes, top to bottom. That'll be indicated typically by blue stains on an intake, indicates it's a fuel leak. And exhaust, you'll see like white powder on the cylinders or somewhere else up in this area. Now, as I was looking here, I noticed down here that the tailpipe right here is cracked. You can see there's a big crack in this where it's been broken. So this is going to have to be addressed. I'll have to contact the owner about that. I also look at this hardware up here. It's pretty corroded. Probably be a good idea to change that about right now. You wait too long, you just really rusty and get break. So the intakes look good. There's no oil leaks on this side that I see. The intakes, everything look good. The cylinders, sometimes people ask, why does it have blue paint on it? That's a nitrided cylinder. If you see orange paint, it's a chrome cylinder. And that makes a difference for us, but not so much for you if you're just changing your own oil, which you can do on your own airplane. And as I move around, I'm looking at the alternator belt. So just glancing at it quick, making sure it's not cracked or broken, that it looks good, it's not deteriorated. I don't see any cracks. I normally see cracks coming in down here. So that's good. Continuing on, as we're doing it, we just look at the prop real quick, make sure there's no dings or gouges or anywhere in the prop. Make sure that it looks good. So that looks good. There's no damage to the prop, so we're good there. Coming around to this side, same thing. Looking for oil leaks, intake leaks, and exhaust leaks. Now, if you saw an intake leak and you were doing your own oil change, then you would have to call a mechanic. You're not allowed to disassemble the engine or anything if you're not an A&P mechanic, or at least being supervised one. As an owner, you can change your oil. You can clean your spark plugs. You can do some certain basic tasks. But you can't do any engine disassembly or anything that's considered complicated. So next, we're going to be getting back in the back of the engine. Some of them have a screen in here, but this one has what we call a full flow oil filter. This is very similar to what you'll see in your car. Pretty much operates the same way, although it's more expensive, and we're going to cut it open later so you can see how dense the media is. It traps all kinds of particles. And we're going to disconnect the wire here. This is called safety wire. They don't have that on automobiles. Everything on an airplane is safety or secured because they vibrate a lot. We don't want that oil filter coming off when we're flying because we can't pull over to the side of the road. So we will be pulling that off and moving on from there. All right, so first thing we do, we got the oil drained. Now we can come in here, cut the safety wire like so. I've done this before. Try to look like I've done it before. I saw it on YouTube. Somebody on YouTube is doing this.
YouTube's got it, you got it.
See, that's where I learned everything I know. I learned on YouTube. That's not really true. I did go to school. Anyway, so now we're going to take this filter off. Great. And I'm going to have to get a 1-inch wrench because I can't get a socket on that. So we're going to hand it over to my handy dandy snap-on toolbox. My handy dandy 1-inch wrench. Yeah, they're not really organized right now. My toolbox fell over, okay? All right. There it is. And you'll notice I've got a 6-point wrench. We call that 6 points. You'll see some of them have 12 points. But 12 points, you'll strip an oil filter head out. You want to do 6 points. Because they're torqued on there. So now I can get the wrench on there. You can see it's on there pretty tight. Now, before I started this, I put a little rubber thing underneath there, filter thing, to get the catch the oil as it starts to drain. All right, so I've got a little green bendable funnel they sell. I'll show it to you later. And it's just draining down into an old oil filter. I cut open. Here comes the oil. You'll see that the oil is running down on this green adjustable, I don't know what you'd call it, funnel. And we call it the green thing. And I've cut open an old oil filter bottle, which we are catching the oil in. So if you don't have the green thing, you can just hold the oil filter bottle up there. And I'm going to let that oil drain a little bit so that I don't make a big mess when I'm trying to take it out. You can also see I've put on rubber gloves, nitrile gloves, because used oil is carcinogenic. You really don't want to get it all over your hands. You can wash it off and stuff, but it's not a good idea to keep it on your hands for a long period of time. It's not going to help you out over the long term. You don't want to be really absorbing toxins into your body from used oil. Okay, there we go. Oil filter's off. Cool beans. Now we're going to drain this oil filter. You can see it's still got oil in it. So we're going to drain that for a while, let it drain out. And we're just going to put this filter like that. And we're going to let that filter just drain for a while. And then what we're going to do when it's done is I'm going to show you, we're going to cut it open. We'll open up the filter element. And we're going to inspect the filter element to see if there's any metal in it or anything else we need to worry about. Now I'm going to move on while that's still draining. As you can see, it's still draining some oil here from the oil filter pad. It's going to drain for a little bit. And so while that's draining, right up in here, you can see that's where the oil filter goes. We'll clean that all off when we're done before we put the new filter on. I'm going to be taking off the sump drain down at the bottom. Now we moved on to this strainer drain here at the front. I've loosened it up. I've taken the safety wire off and loosened it up. I had to take this hose off, get it out of the way for me to get in there. As you can see, the hose is torn quite a bit. It's for cabin heat, which of course in the summertime in Charlotte, probably not Charleston, not using too much of that. But anyway, I got this big drain loose. I'm taking it out now. As you can see, working on airplanes, you're going to get torn up. You tear your gloves, tear your hands, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to drop that out. We've already drained all the oil, so not much came out. And there's what you get. You get a little fuel, or not a fuel, but an oil screen like this. And what this does, it catches, like I said earlier, it catches the big chunks. You know, and then what you'll see is you'll see pieces on here, and you can rub them in between your fingers. If they just come apart, then that's called carbon. And it's just kind of burnt oil, and it's harmless. So there's nothing in here. There's no metal parts. There's nothing in there that's we got to worry about. So we're going to clean this out. We're going to get a new gasket, crush gasket for this. And then we're going to put this back in, torque it up. And then we're going to put the new filter on. So now what we do in aviation that you don't do in automotive is we cut open the oil filter and inspect the oil filter element. I use the Airwolf cutter. Got a little circular blade. You'll see it drops down on the top, tighten it down. Makes the job really easy. You just spin it around, tighten it down some more, and there you have it. Nice and clean, cuts the top off the oil filter, gets rid of it, don't need it. And we pull this out, that's just some of the paint. We pull the oil filter out, and on the inside they got a magnet, so that will trap metal And I don't see any metal on there, so that's good. And the inside of the filter looks good. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut this oil filter open. See how much paper there is in these filters, and it's really packed. If you cut an STP filter open, you're gonna have just nothing in there. These are really packed. You see there's a metal band. Well, it's held together. That's where you start cutting. And you're just gonna cut through the paper, and it's gonna take a couple of times around. I'm gonna flip it over to the other side. All right, there we go. Now what I'm gonna try to do is pull it out like so. And we pull out the filter like so. By cutting it, we can get a better look at it that way. And as we look at it, we're going to pull the whole thing out. But as we look at the filter, we don't see any shiny metal. There's nothing on it. A little bit of carbon there. But it looks good. There you have it. That's what the inside of the filter looks like. Paper removed. And there's the paper. And as you can see, there's just nothing in there. It looks really good. Another dirty oil. A little bit of carbon right there. You can tell it's black and it just crumbles in your hand. This is a brand new engine too. If I had any problems with wear on the engine, I'd be seeing you're looking for either silver, shiny metal, or bronze or copper looking colored metal in there. Because the pistons are aluminum. You got aluminum piston pins. You got steel ring, steel cylinder, and then you got bronze rocker guides. And so there's a few different types of metal that are used in these engines. And then you've got main bearings and stuff. So this one looks real good. All right, I've got a new oil filter. All right, see I have the date and the tachometer time on it. I also like to put it on the end so I can see it later if I need to from there. These new oil filters from Tempest, you do not need to put any oil or any kind of lube on these. In the old days, people used to put oil on these. The problem is that oil then would become like a varnish. It'd get hot, and you sometimes had a really hard time getting these off. So the new Tempest ones come with a special coating on them so they don't need any lubrication. So I'm going to get down in here. I've already cleaned the area off that it was on. I'm going to spin it on. I'm going to stop here right by where you can see it says right here on it, installation of oil instructions. I also have it printed up. 16 to 18 foot-pounds of torque is what we're going to torque this to. And you also torque everything on an airplane. It's not like your car, you just tight so you think it's tight. Okay. Now we know I can't get on this with a socket, so I'm going to get that pretty snug now. What I'm going to do is grab my crow's foot. The first thing I do is I grab my snap-on electronic torque calibrated torque wrench here, and I'm going to set it in at zeroed. It's at 55 foot-pounds. So I'm going to bring this down to, it says 16 to 18. I'm going to go right in the middle of the 17 foot-pounds. Right there. Then I've got my handy, as I mentioned earlier, you want to use a 6-point. Now the trick to an extension is you either have to do math and calculate the extra half-inch you're adding here, or if you do any extension, no matter what length, if you use it at 90 degrees, it eliminates that. You have to add any math. So now I'm going to get down in here, get that on there, and I'm going to just start torquing it. Now right now I'm going to go back around here like this. I realized that it wasn't 90 degrees, but I still got a ways to go to torque it. It's just important that when you're doing your final torque, that it's at 90 degrees. And it'll start warning me when it's getting close. Okay, now I'm going to try my only at 90 degrees here because I'm getting close. Get a little yellow lights are lighting up here. And it'll beep at me when it's ready. And there we have it. Green light, 17.4. We're in the limits we're supposed to be. It is torqued right there. I did it at the 90 degrees, so we're good. Now socket, because it's going straight on, you don't need to worry about that. Now next thing we're going to do is put our screen. I've got a new crush gasket here for it. I've cleaned it all out. You can see it's nice and neat and clean. This is the old crush gasket. See how much thinner it is. It's been smashed down. You don't reuse them. And the same thing, I'm going to have to use a crow's wrench for this, which I have here. So I'm going to get this up in there and I'm going to torque this. I got it finger tight on it. All right. Now the same way I torque the oil filter, again, I can't get a socket up in there. So I have an 1.5 inch crow's foot. This is what we call a crow's foot. That I can get up there And with my torque wrench again at 90 degrees, I'll be fine. So, now, first I have to go get my torque on this. Anytime you're working on anything on an airplane, you also have to be able to have access to the manuals. You can find pretty much everything you need online. You can see this is a Lycoming. That engine on that airplane is Lycoming 0235 LTC. It's labeled on the side of the airplane. It's called on a data plate. I'll show you when we get back down there. We're looking for the torques on the oil scavenge screen, okay? And that has a crush washer on it. So what we're going to do, you can also find the parts manual, same thing, it's online. So you can get the part number for the part for the crush gasket, which I've already done. So anyway, you go to overall direct drive manual. The torque specs are at the very bottom, section 10, table limits. So if I go right here to this table, crush type asbestos gaskets, thread pitch on the part to be tightened, threads per inch. We're doing a copper asbestos crush gasket. Okay, we have 16 threads per inch on that particular install. So 1 by 16. And that goes 135 degrees of rotation after it comes in contact. So I've already taken it in contact with it. Now we're going to turn it 135 degrees. I'm using 32,000 stainless steel safety wire to safety wire this filter. It's got tabs on it. I'm going to put some safety wire through the tab. All right. Now I'm first going to just tighten it a little bit. I'm going to wrap it around the filter. So I've got there. I'm going to wrap this around the filter in the direction of rotation. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, so it's pulling it the way I want it to go. I'll be coming up to this spot right there. I'm going to catch that right there. So I'm just going to turn it by hand the rest of the way. Just keep checking to make sure I get it right. Pull it through there. All right, there we go. Okay. I got that right there. Gonna just start a little bit. Grab it. Tighten it down. I'm gonna reverse the direction of my safety wire pliers. Go backwards at the top. And there we go. Cut it. And then fold it over. Why? You don't want to leave that up where some poor unsuspecting mechanic be putting their arm down there looking for something. And this stuff will go right all the way into your skin, all the way up to the bone. And I'll tell you what, that hurts like hell. So there's nothing there to poke anybody. It's nice and smooth. And it's safety wired, and the filter now cannot back off.